It's wild. It's been 2 years. I'm thrilled that we're back, that this gathering of the community of Toronto film professionals is back in person. Movies do a couple of things that are really important, and they're almost like contradictory in a way. On the one hand, they take you out of yourself and into the world of the film, the world of the storyteller. You can escape whatever your current reality is for a couple of hours. On the other hand, they remind you of who you are, because the way we respond to movies is by connecting our own life experience to what we're seeing the characters go through on screen. So they kind of make you more yourself and free you from yourself at the same time, which is an amazing thing to do.
It is incredibly exciting. We are so thrilled. The whole time we've been on this journey with Beans, doors have opened for this film that I've never seen open in other times in my career, and I think it's because Canadians are ready to hear this story. So we're just thrilled to be included with these great nominees. This film would not exist without Tracey Deer. It is Tracey Deer's story. She was 12 during the Oka crisis. This is such a personal film for her, and we were lucky to help her tell it.
This nomination is really a testament to her courage to have stood by the story and taken it and all the way, and it's just amazing. Yeah,
I think it just brings people together, an opportunity to sit in a theater and hear people respond to your film as a filmmaker is like the most beautiful thing. That's the reason why we do it, and just as a watcher, it's just nice to have that experience with people.
Yeah, I mean, our film is a reminder of the ways that we are linked to one another, and it's a reminder of community, and I think a lot of people have spent the past 2 years deprived of that, and so I think that's why it's especially hitting people at their core right now.
What was getting people going through those really tough times when we were first in isolation was art. Art is essential, and especially for a film like ours that was made on such a micro budget, is that we really have to rethink what art means and how much funding it receives.
Well, I, was telling a story about this land and the project of Canada and what colonization did to Indigenous families and communities. So for it to be embraced here, it's really encouraging. And I hope it means that we're at a time in our history where we're opening up to these conversations, and all of that is really meaningful, but also for the craft of the film to be recognized by critics is really important too, because I've always been a huge believer that representation affects craft and leads to better storytelling. And the fact that this whole batch of nominees are directed or co-directed by women and women of color and Indigenous women, I think it really proves that. So it's really exciting.
In Toronto, the industry kept going right through the pandemic, and people wondered why. But I think it became clear just from the way people were responding and what the amount of movies people were watching at home and the amount of television and how important it was as a way to communicate when you're not even seeing anyone else. That I do feel we earned the status of an essential service. It did feel like a validation in that way. People realized that movies were important.
It has dawned on everyone over the last 2 years that they would be in a much more precarious situation if they didn't have film, they didn't have literature, and they didn't have television, and they didn't have music. I think that we all leaned heavily on it. And when we get super, super busy, sometimes those things fall to the wayside. But suddenly, for most of us, everything stopped. And those things came into focus, and we realized just how important they were. I certainly wouldn't want to do a pandemic without film or television or literature or music.